Make sure to go and check out all of our latest merch at paddockmerch.com. We've got loads of new designs and even more products coming all the time. With 2 or more items, you get 20% off using the code Paddock20. And if you remember, there's even bigger discounts available. Link is in the description.
Afternoon. Bit aggressive, that, wasn't it? Afternoon.
It is definitely the afternoon.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe Smith. Ronaldo,
When's the cut-off point for the afternoon?
What?
When it becomes evening?
Yeah,
I think 5.
Approaching that now.
Finishing work. That's when telly changes.
So subjective.
No one says I'll meet you at 6. I'll meet in the afternoon when 7:45.
No. But no one says I'll see you tonight. What time are you meeting? 3:30. Don't happen either, does it? I think it's 5.
I think 5.
Yeah.
4:55.
Depends on the time zone, innit?
No,
absolutely not. What are we talking about today, Steve?
Hopefully not United.
I think we have to, don't we?
Wow.
We need to address what's going on, and we need to talk about just how bad it is at the minute. You didn't see the game live, did you?
No.
You've seen it since?
Yeah.
I haven't even spoke to you about the game, so... And
he tried to earlier, and I said we're doing a pod.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't bear to talk about it twice.
Because literally, it's one of them in terms of perspective, isn't it? Because I had to probably look at a detailed watch back of the game as well, because I didn't get to watch it live and couldn't imagine what it would have felt like to watch it.
You did watch it live,
yeah.
So on the funometer, what you were doing at 3:00 on Saturday, where'd you put yourself?
At 3, bang on kickoff.
No, between 3 and 5. Then where's your funometer?
It went like this. It went. Oh, we're not playing well. Oh, we're a bit better. Oh, they've scored.
Oh my god.
Oh no, they've scored. Oh, they've scored. And then it went. Oh, we're gonna win, and we've lost immediately. That was a weird bit.
So basically,
it was terrible.
Ronaldo's on loan, so we sent Ronaldo on loan.
Yeah.
To Ramsbottom.
Yeah.
Dave sent him on loan.
This is nice. You're like a Netflix subscription. Everyone, there's just one, and then everyone's just like using the same password.
I literally thought he was going to go down. I literally thought he was going to go down a different route with that. I was getting passed around.
No, you're subscribed here, but only one person's paying the bill, and you're on about 8 different people's laptops. That's what's going on at the minute.
What's even funnier is we were short of players last weekend, weren't we? So I messaged their manager and was like, "He's still signed on for us. You can dual register. Do you mind if we have him?" He was like, "Have him."
See, that's all right.
Wasn't available though.
We could have done with you in
so
Leicester,
your funometer. So he was playing for St Dellins.
Yeah. What was your funometer?
Which is only known for rugby league usually.
Where's my funometer? I was getting a 5-0 drubbing from Bury.
So not high. And
not
still
high.
Yours was all right.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, I had a good time.
Playing Bury's first team. What's left of them?
Let's talk about United then. The funometer being basically on the floor at the minute.
So yeah,
what did you make of the game? Because I haven't spoke to you about it.
I actually thought, because I knew the result going into it, I had the opportunity to watch this with a critical eye of knowing the result, which I don't usually like, but it was what I had. I actually thought the first half we were pretty good.
Yeah. Did you not? But my worry was we're just getting passed through.
Yes.
The press is terrible.
Yes.
We aren't set up. Is there even a press?
Yeah, that was what I was going to get. I was going to be like, the press is terrible. That's calling it a press is a bit giddy. My first note, which I think I made after about 100 seconds, was we can't play out. And that has been a note that I write. I might just want to copy and paste it. Like, we're terrible playing out. I did a little video earlier, and one of the things that I went a bit in depth on was us playing out and why we play out. And the numerical superiority you have when playing out, because it's always going to be the worst case scenario is going to be 11 versus 10. So you're always a man up. Now, you want to get 1 man up. You ideally want to get 2 men up. And United, Pogba came deep, good. And it was Lindelof and Maguire, sound. And you've got your keeper there as well if you needed. And it was 4 versus 2. And we couldn't play through 2 people with 4 players. That's mental. I would expect lads of our level to be able to do that, let alone good ball-playing centre-halves and Paul Pogba.
And even Matic is decent on the ball for someone of his size and his style.
By Tillman, though. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you're talking about these issues we've been talking about for a while, when we're speaking about our inability to play out, the lack of kind of structure in that way that we press, and when it comes to teams being good at pressing and that sort of thing, if we're not very good at it, that's usually does go beyond the personnel issue, and that's just whether your team is drilled to do it in a specific way. Obviously, you need your players to go out there and kind of put it into practice. But stuff like pressing from any kind of football experience, if that's drilled and worked on consistently and players know their jobs and know what they do, then that shouldn't be the issue. And when it comes to playing out, I think that could be more down to personnel, the fact that you've got a lot of blame has been placed at McFred and McTominay, and I just said them combined anyway, and their inability to kind of receive the ball. Sometimes they don't show, and their ball playing ability naturally. But we had Matic and Pogba playing on the weekend.
This is the worry for me.
And that's the worry, because they're actually better footballers than Fred and McTominay, but the same issues arose. So what does it come down to? Is there no patterns being worked on tactically? Is there no kind of fluidity? Is it just basically you go out there as a two and try and play? Is there no type of order and like kind of rhythm or that the way they play? There's no kind of style or identity there. It's something different week in, week out with United, and that is the problem. Like, we don't know what team we're going to get, how we're going to play, and that is where the problem lies. And I think obviously you do criticise the players, people are criticising the management, but it's hard not to criticise the management in a way when you're seeing these kind of things crop up week in, week out, because those are the things that should be coached and should be worked on, especially with the players that we have at our disposal. Because we looked getting carved open by a Leicester side who have been good over the past couple of seasons, but they've been way off that pace this season. And we've literally been turned over by them realistically. And that is very, very telling. And it is telling because we got a little bit giddy with how we started the season when we weren't playing against the strongest opposition when the teams around us were. So I think we kind of had a little bit of a false sense of a bit of naivety.
I'd say on that though,
but
those teams that we played, they're below us in the table. They're your mid-table filler, but those are some seriously awkward to play against teams. Yeah. And I think that's the difference, is because actually, you look at how United have been under Ole, we're generally a little bit better against those teams that are more likely to come for us than we are that mid-table guff that we seem to drop points against.
It's true, but then if you look at those performances rather than the result, I know it's a results game, but if you look at the performances, they haven't been good either.
No, we haven't had dominant performances.
Because remember, West Ham, it was a Lingard special at the end to kind of win the game. West Ham did more than enough in that game to probably beat us or draw. And then I'm looking at the Wolves game as well. We had a little bit of like last-ditch clearances from Wan-Bissaka, Villa. It's
I think the problem with that is, and whilst I agree the performances have been bad generally, which is why we're dropping points, it's not like we're playing well, we're playing shit and winning every week. You can also just look at the results. But you know, for instance, yesterday, I thought was it Saturday, whenever it was, Brentford should have beat Chelsea.
True.
When you look at the performance,
Chelsea had one shot on target.
Yeah, Chelsea weren't good. Brentford were good. So it's not. I don't think it's fair to that's United versus Wolves. It's the same thing.
But Chelsea shouldn't have beaten Villa
Chelsea
either.
have got points. Chelsea have got the points though. So I think it does just come back to results because obviously the performances are what lead to results. But sometimes you play badly and win. But United are playing badly and winning, playing badly and losing, playing badly and drawing. We tend to just play badly and see what happens. That's the problem, isn't it?
Because when you was making the first one, I'm just referring to kind of variance. Like you can say we playing badly, our performances are bad, but we're still collecting points. That's all well and good. But like you've said, if your performances are consistently bad game after game after game, that won't be the case.
Yeah.
It's literally nigh on impossible to play badly for 10, 15 games in a row and win most of them games. You're obviously going to lose. Yeah, you're obviously going to lose more than you win.
Yeah, you can play well and not win a league. You can't play badly and win one. And that's what we're trying to do at the minute. We're trying to be we're still title contenders, but we're playing badly every week.
I don't think we are anymore.
I don't think we are either. But Matic was talking about it the other day. That's the conversation. It's going to be difficult, and that's if we turned it around now, which it doesn't seem like we're going to.
You're going to need all of them other three teams. I mean, Liverpool look ridiculous at the minute, sickeningly good. Like, Joe, the sort of good where you go, I thought we were past that.
Yeah. Well, they've just gone, all those players that made us really good, they're back and we're really good again.
Yeah. And they're all in form.
It comes
to ridiculous.
Firmino is even getting hat-tricks. That's how you know it's bad.
What's interesting, with the Brentford one and how well they've done, and you using a comparison of Chelsea probably deserving to lose against Brentford, it's just the way that, as you've described, they've been a very awkward and strong side to play, because we spoke about the kind of unstoppable force that Liverpool have apparently been. Well, not even apparently, they look to be. They dropped points against Brentford a few games ago.
They've been brilliant, Brentford.
So they've been brilliant. So
Brentford have been class.
I think before this weekend...
I think the point was more on Chelsea, wasn't it? Because Chelsea shouldn't have beaten Villa, did, and convincingly did somehow. Yeah. They shouldn't have beaten Brentford, did. Like, they've had some of these games where they're picking points up despite poor performances. They've also had some really good performances where they've blown teams to pieces. United aren't doing either. We had some good performances against Leeds and Newcastle, who are tailor-made to play us. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's been a proper shit show.
So, I mean, we've got it in the title there. We've seen the club, presumably from the people that are saying Ollie's safe for now, those people have got sources in the club. I'm guessing that's come from the club. How safe is it? What's going on?
Saying safe for now isn't safe, though, isn't it?
It's still got a Football Manager is always safe for now.
Yeah, it's true.
No one's ever safe, are they?
Do you ever read Fergie's book?
I've read it, but years ago.
He's got a proper dad joke in which I can see him laughing at as he writes it. And he's like, I think they should call every manager a temporary manager.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like a fossil in a cliffside that's there for 150 million years.
It's just a proper dad joke off it.
Yeah. It is true. You know what it is? People naturally, I think it'll sound a bit deep and philosophical, but human nature, people don't like change. People often don't like change. So, obviously, we've had Ollie for a few years now. And I would believe that a large majority of people like Ollie, wanted him to do well. Are in his corner, he's a legend at the club. He understands the United DNA. That's something that was missing with every manager we had before him, post Sir Alex Ferguson era. He's done a lot to progress us, and he's got us to a certain stage. And it's something I was speaking to Steve about earlier. It's not too far-fetched or negative to say that everyone and anyone in any profession has a certain ceiling. And it might just be a situation where Ollie has reached he's basically got us from a much, as people think that it's an absolutely shocking situation we're in right about now. You got to think about where we were a few years ago with Mourinho and Moyes and Van Gaal in some of the stages with them managers.
The club's in such different place.
It's in a different place. We're back on track. We've got a flow going towards the right direction. But we've gotten to the stage now after so many years without winning silverware and still looking back at Sir Alex Ferguson's last season, the last time we won the league, and we're kind of urging to regain that bit of success that we need to, because we're in that dangerous little period now where the years go by and by and by, and then before you know it, it's 2 decades have gone by and you've not won a title, and then it's
talk to Arsenal about that. Talk to
Arsenal,
Liverpool
about that. It's happened before.
But anyone who's
Blackburn.
I know they're not a big title winning team, but they won the league, and then you're not going to win again for 30 years.
Exactly. So that's why I personally think you've got to look at what he's done in his tenure. He's built a squad. He's got us back on the right track. He's instilled the United DNA back into the club. But I think he's coming into a situation now that the expectations have grown so high with the squad that we do have, and the expectations of United to be challenged again, especially, he's been found wanting in a couple of occasions recently, and it seems to be the writing on the wall could be there for him, especially with this period that we have going into Atlanta, which will be a tough game, Liverpool. This period looking dire, and if he doesn't come out at the end of it, if you come out at the end of that without an uptake in performance and results, then something's going to have to change, because with the squad now, there's no excuse for us not to be competing or playing better than we are. And you've then got to look beyond the players, because the players are there, and you've got to look at the coach, and you've got to look at the management, you've got to look at Ollie, because some of the decisions that he's made in certain games in terms of selection, and even if you're looking at the little tactical and coaching stuff with where United play, there's no identity, there's no style. We're not good at in possession, not good out of possession. It's looking like a bit of a mess, so you need something to change.
People focus on that identity and style for me far too much. Yeah. I like having a style of play. I like having something that would be easily identifiable. But a style of play in and of itself doesn't get you any more points. Bielsa's got a hell of a style of play. He'll struggle to break into the top 10 with Leeds because of the limitations of where they are as a football club. And him having a style of play has not got them any more points. The performances that he's got out of his players that might come from having a style of play, but it's not certain. Sean Dyche's got a style of play. Tony Pulis had a style of play.
Van Gaal had a style of play.
Louis Van Gaal had a style of play. These defined styles of play don't necessarily mean anything. Like the amount of arguments I had with people, and it probably isn't the same people. It just feels like a weight of people. I'd rather lose and play exciting football. Cool, introduce Ollie. We're losing some games, but he does generally go for it. He doesn't ever really sit back and just try and defend. and they go, oh, but he's losing these games. And you're just thinking, okay, no, you can't win. I think Ronaldo makes some good points, and I can't and won't refute 99% of them. The lack of identity and style of play, I don't really care on that, to be honest. Maybe it's a nice thing.
I think the way I see it is because I'm looking at the likes of Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, and all three of them teams are our direct rivals and teams that we're competing with, and we've got players. Our squad should be competing with them three.
Yeah, we should.
And
they've all got better midfields, though, and ultimately, for me, the style of play is driven by your midfield. And when we've got a non-progressive, poor ball-playing quality midfield, everything that you try and do to be a possession-based dominant football team suffers because you're trying to play it through someone like a Fred who isn't up to the standard of it. And then you've got... can I just address something as well? I said Fred was elite. I'm talking at the time. I was talking about him and non-league players and Premier League players, and they're literally, by definition, anyone who plays in the Premier League is elite.
Elite doesn't mean world class. No. I think people sort of conflate the two. Elite means you are.
He literally plays for fucking Brazil.
He plays for Brazil, and he's played 200 games for Man United.
Yeah, like there's
elite doesn't mean you're the best in the world.
The amount of people who fucking took that out of context, I should have known better. Because I know the game.
Yeah, I think it's the context of people just thinking that he probably shouldn't have the games. He should have for United.
The patterns is something that worries me. Our defensive stability really is something that worries me.
But no, when you say patterns, it's kind of entwines with identity and style.
Not necessarily,
in a sense, because
you can almost run some sort of patterns as like set plays almost.
Yeah,
like. I think Rio was talking about one that we was on about the other day where he said they had basically an up, back and through that they used to do with Van Nistelrooy. It'd be Van Nistelrooy would play it back to Scholesy, he would spin in behind and they would make one or two passes and try and cut across the rear centre-half for him to find the ball. Those are things he said that they drilled in training. Now, I don't see those drills. You used to see something akin to that with Luke Shaw and Rashford on the left-hand side, with the two patterns of movements that they would make. But outside of those two, do you ever see what looks like drilled movements from United? And I think that's a valid criticism, as is some of our shit set pieces, despite having a set piece coach coming in.
But I see those drilled movements and kind of flows in possession and just things that look repeated, things that look, what the word is, they look not predictable, but they look like they are kind of manufactured on the training ground.
Second nature.
Second nature and drilled. And I see that when I watch Chelsea, I see that when I watch Liverpool, and I see that when I watch City. When I was talking about styling, I see a distinct way of play for every single one of those teams. And we don't have one. And obviously, you're talking about results, and that is true. Results over style, I guess. So you don't care unless you win. But I feel like as a footballer, as a player, you want to know what your job is, what you're doing, and knowing that it's the same every single week. I don't feel like that is the case at United. I think sometimes the players are wondering what is going to happen game to game, how are we playing, where am I going to be put.
Go on. How much do you think it matters that we don't know what our first team is? I don't think anyone could sit here and say, when everyone's fit, here's who starts.
I think Ollie knows it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you think?
And I don't
think
you'll all
Pogba
agree
knows
with
it?
I don't know if Pogba's in it necessarily.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because he's on the left-hand side. He was our most creative player. Then he's back in the six. Then people don't want McFred, but now people do want McFred because we saw how dysfunctional it was.
Let me show you something.
Go on then.
And you can make the call on whether we put this on here or not. But I'll show you the detail I go into.
Okay.
With what we play as.
While you're looking at that, let me just read a couple of super chats. Peter Kelly saying, do you think the Glazers are looking to sell and want to keep Ollie because of the Norway government pension fund, or the richest company in the world, 3 times richer than PIF, and think they'll buy? No, I don't think that, personally. My amateur said, surely you can't compare the style of play of Pulis, etc., when they're more likely to have worse players to execute that style of play. A style of play with class players is something formidable.
I agree with him. That's what I was.
But we did have a style of play with class players under Louis van Gaal, and it wasn't formidable. It was predictable.
But that's what I was
kind of
thinking. That was kind of what I was thinking of when Steve was speaking about Leeds. I think you can't compare Leeds and United because it's different. Maybe Bielsa's style of play, as you described it, I know we've overused that term, it seems now, would work if he had the money and the players at the disposal could carry out his philosophy that would obviously better compete at the Premier League level. So it's hard to sometimes it's like what's the word, like pears and apples.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a difference, but I don't know.
Vion Batia with a super chat as well. If we are replacing Ole, there needs to be a plan behind it. We'll get to this in a minute because I want to talk about this. If we get a manager for short term, we may win something, but also undo what good work Ole has done.
On that, I got a lot to say on that. You have a look at that and I'll answer this. So that's what we go through on a match day. People always seem to point to Chelsea as how short-termism works. They forget how much money Chelsea spend to maintain that short-term success. And also, that short-term success is extremely short-term because what Chelsea are doing, they've not won a back-to-back title since Jose Mourinho, who was the manager that won it, and he won both of those titles. They haven't been successful consecutively. The only other manager outside of Sir Alex that's won back-to-back Premier League titles is Pep and Jose. And obviously, he's been at a club for a sustained period under some of the most intense bananas sort of financial investment that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, I do get you. You know, when we're going back to the point of Van Gaal and Mourinho.
Yeah.
A lot of the argument would be as right now, if you look at the squad that Van Gaal had and the squad that Mourinho had, the squad that we currently Ole currently has at his disposal is better than both of them.
Yeah,
squads.
but the problem with that is they still spent loads of money. It's not Ole's fault. They wasted money on Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger.
I know. I did give him credit for the fact that there's a great squad that's been built, and obviously we've probably been hard done by the fact we haven't had a decent centre midfielder as CDM being brought in. But the way of it's how you equate it, and it's expectation, and that's what. You look at the team now, and
we're struggling under at the minute.
That's what just send that through to live producer. Give us a thumbs up if you're ready for it.
The bottom line is right now. The bottom line is however you want to like reason it or sugarcoat it is we're underachieving.
Yeah,
and then you've got to think about why are we underachieving.
Just a bit of I think there's two sets of players next to each other just to show like defensive transitions and stuff.
So why are we underachieving?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think there has to be something mentioned with coaching. No one's sitting here going,
Cam, do it as a window and you can scroll it then. Do it as a mini window.
No one sat here saying the coaching's brilliant, what's going wrong? Because we can all see that there are problems, that the players don't either seem to know what to do or aren't willing to follow instruction, which I don't think either of them are particularly healthy for a club.
I think he can come out of this. I think he can come out of the other side.
Yeah,
I
want to talk about other options maybe in a little bit, or the plan on that, because we did want to mention that. How can he come out of this?
Because it can just click. And it's as simple as that. Sometimes it can just click and you go, oh, that's what we were jabbing at. And okay, there's some serious things. Like the playing out for me is particularly egregious because I think that's something that's should be miles better than it is. And maybe we suffer because De Gea's not got the biggest kick in the world. Maybe they know that we can't go as long as some keepers could. So because we're not often effectively going direct from goal kicks, because we like to try and play out, they go, oh, let's just get really high because they're not a threat.
I don't feel like we should be trying to play long anyway. I don't think.
Yeah, but it's not about like just booting it and hoping. You look at what Edison and Alisson do at Liverpool.
Yeah.
They create chances
you have to have your options. If you're a threat at both, a team has to prepare for both, which means that if you catch them unawares, you're going to get a better result from it. But if they know they're not going to go long, just squeeze right up on them.
And then we've not got the ability and wherewithal to kind of play out from pressure. And that,
especially when Harry Maguire's injured or being shit like he was.
And if they're going to squeeze you and focus you, so they can send you on area. All right, so this is what I give Paddock FC as our instructions. These are our tactical instructions that are on the screen. So this was our game at weekend. So scroll down. You don't need the red. Go to the red one if you want. So this is our result, our opposition's results. We speak about that. Defence. You can skip the defence one, actually, because we were just asking questions and speaking. If you go to the attack, go to the number 5. So that's what we're looking to do in attack. Obviously, there's not a lot of tactical information. There's just words. Patience, work the ball around. We're looking to pull defenders out of position, use width, 1-2 touches. Go into the next one, the focus. So our focus, we're looking for a tight free midfield, dominate the ball. Rondo and switches essentially draw people into one area, and then you can move them around to the different 4 quarters of the pitch. Forward free, all attack in the box and get forward. Scroll the next one is just the starting 11. The next one is our set piece routine.
But the thing is, though, like we see this, and if you keep going through, you can see it, and so people can see while we're talking. But these coaches that we've got at Manchester United have all got a UEFA Pro license, are all as qualified as you can possibly be as a coach. They know what a press is. They know how an effective press works. Whether they want to implement it or not, they have learned it and they know it. These players have played with presses. These players have played without presses. Like, how have we got it that Cristiano Ronaldo is, okay, I understand that's not what he does, but we've got Bruno pressing by himself. We've got Pogba pressing by himself. Someone pressing by themselves isn't a press. Exactly. It is being out of position.
And I see that so much
So what's going on? Because they're not thick.
Right,
they know football. They're like people on Twitter. We're sat here going, "This isn't working. Why are we pressing one at a time?" They know that. What's going wrong? That's what I don't understand. Where is this disconnect?
It's because what I said to me and Steve. We were speaking about this before, saying that how when you look at teams that were successful at United, you've got those flair players, the likes of what we've got now in terms of Sancho and Bruno and Ronaldo and Pogba, these players that are, I think you can actually describe them as luxury players a little bit in terms of the way they play. They're not exactly workhorses, the likes of Ji-sung Park and Darren Fletcher and maybe even the likes of Tom Cleverley in that category in terms of they're not blessed with amazing ability, but they're definitely competent players. But they do a job and he worked hard. I think even we had that in with Ander Herrera a little bit as well. And I think his.
We need more smart players like him.
I think Herrera's loss is when a lot of stuff went wrong, because I think he did a job that is required within this team, and it seems like we haven't got it. I don't know if there's. That's what I'm saying. I think we've got too many stars to fit in a team, and it's thrown off the balance a little bit. There's a little bit of imbalance in terms of the work rate and structure surrounding it, and that's where you need someone above him, and this is when the manager comes in to kind of set things in place, set a structure and set an attitude, and like a little, almost a procedure almost of, if we're going to win games, you need to work for the team. You need to have that personality. You need to kind of project it onto the team a little bit, because there's a lot of stars that in this team, and there's a lot of egos that you got to deal with, and it's all well and good just throwing all your best players on the pitch. I think we've got to a point now where, because it's not working, you might have to ruffle some feathers, and it's about whether he's strong enough to do that. And I'm not sure, because if you got the likes of Leicester, who are not even great form running through, it looked like Newcastle gave us a game, Wolves probably could have beat us, and we weren't. Obviously, we lost to Villa. Everton basically gave the game away. It can go on and on. Villarreal, we won the game, but we probably shouldn't have. And there's basically, you said you're waiting for it to click. Unfortunately,
I think the time's not there. I think it could click.
But it's about when, though, because as you've said, he's on borrowed time and time's running out, because people will then argue, obviously he's been here a few years now, no silverware. How long are you going to wait for it to click? Do you know what I mean?
And another thing on that as well is, you talk about workhorses like Ji-sung Park, like Dan Fletcher.
Yeah.
They didn't play every game. Certainly, Ji-sung Park didn't play every game. He was used sparingly.
Every big game.
Yeah, sparingly when we needed him. But he wouldn't have played against, he might have played Southampton, but he's not playing against Everton at home, or Leicester and Villa and Wolves. He might do in some of them, but they're not his speciality games. You look at Fred, for instance, against City last season away. I thought one of his best games, and against PSG, some of his best games. So Fred is almost not the same quality, but he's a workhorse of a player, isn't he? Doesn't really have that top end quality, but he'll run his legs off. McTominay, you could maybe say the same thing. Like Dan James, you could have said the same thing. We have got those players. For me, I think the problem is coming from, like you said, the luxury players. When they're luxury players, but they ain't providing much luxury at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Like Paul Pogba's a difficult one. Ronaldo's a difficult one. I think that there's a lot of questions that need to be asked about how we're fitting Ronaldo into the team. Not necessarily his fault, because you know what Ronaldo is, you know what you're getting, but we aren't fitting him into the team effectively. And it's not working.
And also Bruno's an issue in a team. If you want to, a lot of people want to see us change to 4-3-3. I love 4-3-3. I think it's the most flexible and one of the best tactical formations you can have, because of its adaptability to different things and different situations, and its ability to do all sorts. My headphones are wigging out. When you go to a 4-3-3, you expect us to dominate the middle a little bit more. If you want to persist with Bruno in the team, I don't think you can play a 4-3-3. I think you have to allow him to be the number 10 in the team. that has got its benefits, and it's also got some drawbacks depending on what you're looking to achieve and the personnel you're going to put around him. I don't think we've got the right personnel to play either the 2 or the 3 in midfield, unfortunately, right now. And we've got Bruno and Pogba, who basically different sort of variations of a similar role within a team. You're attacking creative midfielder, if you like. Now, one's very much more a 10, almost thinks he's a 9. One's a 10 that can play in an 8 a little bit, but he's certainly not your Ander Herrera workhorse, McTominay style of number 8. He's very much a flair player, number 8, where everyone else does the running around him. That's Pogba, in case you're wondering. And then you've got Edinson Cavani, who for me has been unreal as a United player. Should, if he was fit enough, play every single week for United, but he won't because Ronaldo's here. And as much as I love Cristiano Ronaldo, he ain't going to lead the line in that style for you. He's an excellent fox in a box. Might be the most foxiest, boxiest person that's ever been because he will get on the end of stuff. He will literally make things happen. I thought he made a lot happen, certainly in the first half against Leicester when wasn't really anything on for himself. He didn't obviously manage to get anything away, but he was creating things out of next to nothing. Then you've got a bit of a mix-up because you're playing a lot of wide forwards who are either centre forwards in waiting, like Greenwood. You've got Sancho, who's not quite hit the ground running for us just yet, and I think he's got 4 or 5 gears he needs to get through. You've got Marcus, who's just coming back from injury. You've got this a bit of an over-proliferation. And do you know what? You've got Jesse Lingard, who probably deserves to start on form. So you've got all this sort of like proliferation of what seems like the right stuff. It kind of reminds me in a big way, a little bit, of the mid-noughties Real Madrid team. Bit of a Galacticos era team that's crying out for a Thomas Gravesen or someone to just go, I'll do all your donkey work. You know, your Makalele or Gravesen sort of character. Which is not Fred, unfortunately. Well, but he's doing that role. I think you said it earlier. Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs when he's so poor on the ball, but there is nobody better off the ball than him.
Which is weird though, because this is what's doing my head in. Because I'm looking at Fred as being incredibly poor in possession, to say the least. I've did multiple research data on him. We've watched him countless hours, even beyond football game, like watching the live football matches. He's not great on the ball. He's meant to be in a team for his work rate and his defensive ability in the way that he can write about the pitch. Occasionally when I'm watching Fred, I don't think he's even that great at that either. So it's so damning that when Fred doesn't play, we look 10 times more open when the job that he's meant to do, he's not amazing at anyway, but he's better than the other players that we have to do it. And that shows you the sad state of affairs that United are in. And it goes to the point now where Manchester United Football Club have 1 clean sheet in 19 games.
The thing that I don't get with that is no manager, no matter who they are, or a team with no manager, that those players would be getting that or better with no manager. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't get any worse than that, does it? 1 in 19. That's basically we concede every game. I don't understand how that is happening. What the fuck is going on? We're at that point. We're at what the fuck is going on.
You know why? Because we're too easy to play against, and that's sad to say, but we are. And I've said that for a while when I've watched. I think being a defender for United, especially in his current team, you can't afford to be less than an 8 out of 10 borderline world class player, because it sounds obvious. But I feel like you have to be so good.
Oh, just fuck it off. Go watch cricket.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because the way that we play, even when I go and watch games at Old Trafford, when you let me go and watch it, it's all very like.
Hang on, let's verify that. I don't keep him in a fucking cage in here. He's using my ticket when I've got to watch the baby.
Yeah, it's basically.
Please, can I go to Old Trafford? No, stay there.
Let's be. It's like because of our inability in midfield to kind of support and cover defensively, and sometimes the lack of ability to do that in the midfield. I feel like a lot of defending for United when it comes to Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw is they're being relied upon to do it all on their own, isolated, 1v1. and be great that way. It's a very, very hard ask when you're playing against elite players every week.
Yeah, and like some of the centre backs that have won the league for City down the years, like Otamendi and Di Michaelis win one, and like some of those.
It's amazing what Fernandinho can do, innit?
Well,
what I mean?
But what I mean is, like you said at the minute, we have to be great. The defenders have to be great individually, pretty much every game, because there's so much coming at them. We've talked about how shit it is. We've established that for multiple different reasons, for coaching, for personnel, for also just we're in a bad form on top of everything. I
glanced at the comments. The amount of people just not hearing the conversation we've just had is insane.
Don't worry about it. We're talking about Ole. None of us are blind to the idea that this is probably the closest or the most that the fans have maybe looked towards another manager. To me, this seems the most discontented the fans have been since he took over.
Under Ole.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think that's fair to say.
It was very bad for the Burnley game.
Yeah.
When was that?
Last
first full season.
Was that the 2-0 loss? 2-0 loss at Old Trafford?
Yeah, and then I think we had like Tottenham and City coming up.
It was like January 2020, I think.
He ain't getting out of this. And they did.
Yeah. But this, for me, has another step to it because for some of it has almost an inevitable feeling about it at the moment, which can turn around, as you've said, but none of us are blind to the idea that Ole might go at some point if it stays as it is.
Is it Burnley or Villa?
Burnley. And then we beat City and Spurs.
There was a game where Jack Grealish scored against them, wasn't there?
Oh, well, that was Villa, obviously. None of us are blind to the idea that we may be coming to the end of Ole here if things don't turn around. We're not, naive to that. One thing I've said, and for some reason got criticism for, but again, people are going to disagree with no matter what.
It's the internet.
I've got two concerns about sacking the manager. Well, one is, the main one obviously is maybe he can win something. The other two are, who do we get next? Because that is just as important as getting rid of whoever's in now, even if they're not good enough. And number two is, we are once again putting the biggest decisions in Man United's future in the hands of people that have proven for a decade they aren't good enough at making those decisions. They've hired the wrong people at the wrong time. They've signed the wrong players. They've sacked the wrong, they've given contracts out at the wrong time. They've given, and once again, Ole gets taken out of the picture, goes back up to Woodward, back up to the board, find the next person. Make Manchester United win again for the next 5 years.
It's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. We'll find one on the way down.
It's like, well, the plane's on fire, so we've got to jump, but we haven't got a fucking parachute either. That's the situation it feels like we're in at the minute.
We'll find one on the way down.
Yeah.
You're not looking there? No, we'll find one out there.
But that's what I mean. So people talk about Zidane and Conte, and one of Zidane's biggest criticisms his whole career is you're relying on world-class players, you don't have a style of play. So that argument may come back very quickly. Obviously, he's won a lot, so, he could just be great. Conte is a short-term option. We all know that. That's my concern. What happens if he goes? So far, that's it. Ten Hag's on the list. But again,
people are saying he might have gone Barcelona.
Yeah,
they love a Dutch boy, don't they?
I was going to say the issue with when it comes to recruitment of managers when at a club like United is that the manager almost always has to have a significant amount of stature.
Yeah,
and there's not that many out there that are just knocking about.
You're looking at
which is a problem because other clubs and other teams are able to go and take a chance on an up-and-coming manager. But
Callum, can we get like betting odds for next United manager?
The favourite was, as of earlier today,
Andy Tate.
Brendan Rodgers.
Fuck all the way off.
But the thing is,
what the fuck is that about?
But yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. The next step, if Ole was to go, is who replaces him, and that is a concern. That's for me.
Yeah, that is.
It has to be a concern.
That is a concern, but it's also a concern what's happening at United now.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. The plane's on fire.
It's a weighted concern. You can't completely look at it. Not saying you are, but you can't completely look at it as we're doing terribly now. It's not great under Ole at the moment. We're not underperforming, not doing as good as we should, but I don't want to change. But basically, I'd rather that than change a manager without not knowing whether it will go well or not.
No, but it's not about not knowing whether it'll go well or not. It's picking someone that you think, based on their track record, has a good chance of doing the thing you want them to do. Which, if it's just,
is elevate United to being genuine title contenders.
But yeah, it's true, but wouldn't there have been questions about Ole before he was appointed when his performances at Mulder and
Cardiff?
Cardiff.
Yeah, obviously.
There's loads of myths about what happened with him at Cardiff. He actually had a better record than Malky Mackay, who he took over. Like, he didn't relegate them. They were doomed. He just didn't save them. Which, again, some managers are very good at that. Neil Warnock's very good at doing things like that. Sam Allardyce is very good at doing things like, I don't mean he's going to win the league. Like, I think if you give Pep Burnley, he's probably going down with them. There's certain managers who are the right tool for the right job, and keeping a team up is not the same as winning a league with someone. In a massive, massive way, it takes a whole different skill set. We were talking about that earlier, about the teams that come up that win the championship having a real go at it, get into the Premier League. A lot of them then play poker with how long can they maintain that sort of momentum of being a front-facing team. They inevitably get 5 or 6 put past them, shit it, and look to play a totally different style. I think that you're right, there's got to be a stature attached to them. Barcelona have got like a 4 or 5 sort of list of criteria, and knowledge of the club is a big one. And that can either be as a player or as a member of staff or even just being a part of that league a little bit. But you got to know the club is something that they look to appointment on.
So the current the 6 most popular odds-on favourites to be next Manchester United manager should Ole get sacked, obviously. Number 1, Brendan Rodgers. Number 2, Pochettino. Number 3, Conte. 4 is Zidane. 16 is Nagelsmann, who just went to Bayern this season. And number 6 at 16-1 is Gareth Southgate, who, if you want to talk about inexperienced, but they're the options there.
He's fucking shit. Let's have it right.
I mean, he's done good things with England.
No, he's not.
No, there's no chance I want to see Gareth Southgate anywhere
not.
near my football club.
You can't.
He's got an ordinary record with England.
Oh.
International football is fucking wank, and it's irrelevant to club football.
I'm not saying I like Gareth Southgate to manage Man United. Obviously not, but he's done well with England.
Has he though?
Yeah, we've got. Yeah, he has. Come on, he got him to a final for the first time in 60 years.
Well, we didn't win it.
Okay, but it's still better than anyone else has done. Anyway, Rebecca J.
Very,
Sullivan.
very good run. Easy run, though, to the final.
Klopp was given a pass by the media last year, so when they had injuries, but when Ole's not even had a fully fit squad once this season, surely that counts. The difference in injuries is pretty big, isn't it? They had their best players, most of them injured.
I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think every single squad deals with injuries throughout the season. It's part and parcel.
I mean, we only had Pogba for half of last season.
Yeah. Scarlett Davio said, really not looking forward to the Liverpool game. Every season we do this before we go on a run. Ole is at home. Ole must be some kind of freak if he enjoys this. I'm not sure. I don't think he's enjoying things at the minute. Abhishek says, do you think Ole, with Ronaldo coming after the season he started, is forced to adapt on the go and it's not working? That might explain why we need a tactical manager. We'll come back to that one.
And that's not necessarily different. They might be related. Like any manager, we definitely changed our plans with Ronaldo. We didn't know he was available, and we got him in a basically 10-hour window is what we did. We figured it. Someone said, this is available, and we went, oh, fuck, we can't let that go anywhere else. Let's get it. We'll figure it out. And maybe we've not figured it out yet. I don't think we renewed Cavani in June thinking we was getting Ronaldo in September.
No, I don't either. And Ben has said, Pogba and Bruno can't play on the same team under these coaches. But if not Ole, then who? Ole has shaped us back to normal, but the football is horrible. I mean, the results are horrible. And to be honest, at the minute, the football is horrible. How safe do you think he is? That's the title of the podcast. How safe do you think he is?
I mean, I was arguing with Rio about this morning. I think he's safe as long as he's getting top 4. You can put your own spin on this.
No, Steve. No.
See, he's done it straight away, not listened.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me if I'd get rid of him. You didn't ask me what
I said. How safe do you think he is?
Thank you. That's what and I answered that question. Yeah. And he's just gone off in the woods somewhere. Probably like 99% of the comments, to be fair, so it's a good barometer. I think that the Glazers have shown you over the last decade what they're looking to do is to maintain Champions League football. That's the only thing that you ever see them be proactive on. Moyes mathematically can't get Champions League football, and we're out of the Champions League. Bam! Bullet. Louis van Gaal, you just won an FA Cup, did you? Cool, we're out of the Champions League. Bam! Jose Mourinho came 6th, won the Europa League. Well done. Came 2nd. Well done. Looks like we're heading just into the abyss under him. Not going to get Champions League. Bam! Solskjaer's won nothing and got 2 Champions League qualifications, just got a contract extension. What do you think they are looking to achieve?
And to people who say to you, well, that's not... the standards of United should be having that. They're not your words.
Okay. I completely agree that we should be looking to try and push on beyond that. But I think that their business model, like if you said to them, listen, lads, you can spend 75 million a season and come top 4 and pay all your fucking bills on it, right? Or you could spend 200, 300 million a season, win the fucking lot. They'd be like, there's 75 million, enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't think they give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what's the scariest thing about that business model of they're not going to do anything unless we finish outside the top 4 and they'll be satisfied if Ollie does that. It's the fact that I'm not sure top 4 is an absolute shoo-in anyway at the moment, the way that we're playing. So I don't even think I don't think even saying top 4 and he's safe means that he's out of the woods. Like, that's a guarantee, because I don't think it is at the moment the way that we're going. And we've been taking the piss out of Arsenal for how long?
Yeah,
they win tonight. They're what, a point behind us or 2 points behind us?
Under Jose, he worked for Jose actually, and he was saying the Glazers won't, and he proved to be scarily accurate actually. The Glazers won't sanction his signings. They was trying to pressure him into signing younger players for the future, and he weren't having any of it. And he basically said, "Look, we're not asked about trying to win the league and the Champions League. We're just happy with top 4."
That's the problem.
It's almost from the horse's mouth.
Here's the other question then. So you think he's pretty safe until top 4 is unachievable, because that's what the Glazers and the owners have shown to be their cut-off point. Not your ideal thing, but that's what we have seen. What chance do you think he has of turning it around? Because yes, he's done it before. We saw the Burnley game, we saw the Villa game. We've seen these great runs. We beat City, beat Spurs, beat City 3.
Seriously unbeaten runs out of nowhere as well.
19 unbeaten, I think, after the Arsenal game last season. Yeah. We need something like that now.
We do.
But the expectation is higher than ever before. The pressure is higher than ever before. I think the unrest is higher than ever before. What chance do you actually think he has of turning this around? And when I say turn this around, challenging for trophies this season, because I think that is my measure of we're doing all right here.
We could probably still pick up an FA Cup or something like that without really getting out of second gear.
Yeah.
I think that's the truth. But ultimately, we should be measured on our challenge for and attempt to win the league. And I think I look at what we were talking about before. Liverpool look filthy at the minute. Scary good. Manchester City are very, very stable with what they're doing at the moment. I know they've just lost Torres. What is it, for a couple of months potentially? Is it a broken foot he's got?
Not certain, but yeah.
So they could be in a little bit of trouble. It'd be very interesting to see. I mean, I honestly, half of me thinks Pep won't be asked because he don't really like strikers anyway. I think he'd rather play a 4-6-0, I reckon. So I don't think he'll be overly asked about that, or he'll try and fucking overthink it and come up with something. But his team's good enough to just cruise through because they'll dominate and create chances. Fucking put one of us free up front. He'd probably be better than us, probably. But you could put one of us free up front. We'd probably score for City a couple of goals at least. So I think a professional footballer's got half a chance of scoring goals for him. And then I look at Chelsea and I think they are in some sort of real machine sort of...
Yeah, it's like a machine.
They're in full Chelsea mode, aren't they? This, like, in terms of that machine, only Chelsea really look like that thing. I know Liverpool and City have had more, bigger point scoring seasons, but Chelsea under Conte, Chelsea under Jose, Chelsea's way of winning the league is like, we're just big and we just terminate it. Yeah, we just sort of
we're just fucking hard to beat.
We'll punch through it. We're hard to beat. We'll punch through you. So what you're saying?
That's how I'd love to win a league.
But my question then, Stig, what chance do you give him of turning this around?
I think it's very slim for him to win the league. Very slim. Because you're not just up against City and you go, do you know what? If they, in previous seasons, we've seen them lose a company or someone like that and crumble. I don't think they've got that in them at the moment. I don't think there's one player holding them together. I think Diaz is good, but I don't think he's holding them together like Company used to. You've seen Liverpool completely crumble when they lost Van Dijk. I guess that's not out of the question. You know, he's not really been fit for a long time. We don't know the long-term effects of his injury. They've also got AFCON to deal with in January where they'll lose Mane and Salah. That could have a big impact on them. You only need to lose 2 or 3 games to be right off the pace in this league. So, that could be a factor that they've got to deal with. And I think Chelsea just look ridiculous at the moment. I think if you manage to split any of those 3, you've probably had an all right season. And an all right isn't good. I know people just want black and white, don't they? Yeah. You can't give black and white predictions because you don't know how it's going to go. If we lose nine of our players to injuries for the entire season and come 5th, it might be an achievement. Or we could have no more injuries, come 4th, it'd be a terrible achievement. So, you have no idea. You can only look back retrospectively.
Do you know, the chance I give him is similar, slim to not much chance, to be honest. It looks grim because when I look at Ollie now, it looks like a man that's searching for answers and he can't find them.
Yeah, he's got a bit of vibe about that at the moment.
So that's what it looks like to me.
Well, I mean, we've all seen Manchester United managers leave the club, and there has a similar feel to all of them. Jose, that feeling started in July and it ended in December.
Yeah.
Louis, it started Christmas and it ended in May. You know, and I feel unfortunately like we are starting to feel that again with Ole now, which is a shame. And you know, like you said, there is a slim chance, but it's not looking good at the minute. We've got a few super chats. David Briscoe says, the ownership will only hire yes men. Good managers aren't yes men, so we'll end up with a Southgate type. They didn't hire yes men in Louis and Jose, though, did they? No. David Briscoe also said a new manager wouldn't solve anything when the ownership won't pressure them to win trophies. That may be a point. I don't disagree with that, because if you're pushing and pushing and pushing, do you risk injury? Do you risk falling out with players? Do you risk these things which can dismantle a team, or do you play it safe? Maybe. I'm not sure about that, but maybe. Abhinav says 2-0 defeat to Burnley in January 2020 was the lowest. Yeah, I agree, but I agree in terms of where we looked as a team. I think it's the problem with this time round is some of the fans that were on his side before don't feel like they are anymore.
The squad's infinitely better than it was.
That's the
I'd
point.
love. Do you know what? Let's have a look. We'll go back. I'll do it, and we need to wrap up because he's got to finish something. But I wouldn't mind having a look at what the 11 in that team was, because I reckon it'd be a lot different now.
We can maybe go over that later
Ashley
in the week.
Young and Valencia and that.
And Miles Van Eaton says, thank you guys, love the paddock. Thank you very much, Miles.
Thank you, Miles.
Do we have a Wally of the week before we go? Tough this week. I'm just so sad about it.
Wally of the week.
This
is like
Man
is this like
generally.
Is this like Donkey of the Day from Breakfast Club?
Yeah, I'm
like
saying
really
OJ
good.
Simpson because I'm in the middle of the People versus OJ Simpson.
When you say Wally of the week, you mean Wally of 1997 or whatever it was?
94.
Donkey of the week.
Fucking good series that.
You said, wait, is it Wally of the week?
Yeah.
Is it just in general?
Yeah. Usually football related,
I
but
love
don't
how
have to
serious Ronaldo's taking this, by the way.
Hey, have you watched that Tony Blair, Gordon Brown documentary?
No, pointless.
Speaking of Wallies, there's a few on that, but it is very
I'm going to
good.
get mad, though.
I think you'd probably get mad. There's quite a bit of defending of decisions going on.
Yeah, some decisions that impacted me in a big way.
That's the ones. So yeah, maybe that leadership is what I'm going to go with. Wally of the week, but it's a very good documentary.
Listen,
Worth
any
watching.
other veterans out there, don't do it to yourself around this time of year. Like, lead up to Remembrance and Bonfire Night as a veteran is fucking disgusting. I must say that. I don't know how many of you are like me that sit there shaking like a shitting dog when the fireworks start. But I'm not going to watch that till fucking Christmas or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, save it till after Christmas when you're feeling good. Right, thank you to everyone at home for joining us. We're in that tricky situation where every conversation about United has to be difficult at the minute, isn't it?
About the manager.
Yeah, it's about the manager. It's about the future. Not looking good. But hopefully,
you book yourself a U-Haul.
Yeah, we've got a game on Wednesday which can maybe be the start of something. Thank you again, Ronaldo. Thank you, Steve. Thank you to everyone at home for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.